Hey, Coach Miller here. Got a recap for you with some lax news. We had the first round of the NCAA tournament this past weekend. It wrapped up yesterday. There was games on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to talk about the Division I games, and I'm going to talk about Tufts. All right? So, start off, game of the weekend was probably yesterday, which was Loyola Denver. It was an awesome game. I actually fell asleep going into the fourth quarter, but the fourth quarter was electric. I got a recap on it this morning. Basically, Loyola had a huge second quarter, took a lead. Denver came out flying to start the second half. It was a one-goal game going into the fourth quarter. There's all this commotion, all this stuff going down in the fourth quarter. It came down to this point-blank save by the Loyola goalie the last second of the game. I think he got it with a piece of his head. He's a big guy, big physical presence in net, which helped him make that save. Quentin was talking about it on today's podcast. Anyway, it was an awesome game. Loyola advances to the next round where they're going to play Duke. All right, here's the thing with Loyola. They came on the season strong. They won 4 games in a row. They were going to play in the finals of the Patriot League, but that game got canceled due to COVID issues. So they actually didn't know, but they ended up getting an at-large bid into the tournament. Now they're still alive. They're going on to the quarterfinals. We'll see what happens there. All right, the Virginia-Bryant game. Bryant played real tough. In fact, they had a 10-8 lead in the third quarter, but Virginia proved to be a little bit too much. They took them down. But all in all, the toughness that Bryant showed was very impressive. You know, they're a well-coached team. Here's the thing with Virginia. They actually had a 21-day layoff. So they didn't play any games for 21 days. That's 3 weeks. So maybe they were a little rusty. Who knows? But they'll have probably a good week of practice this week, get ready for the quarterfinals, and we'll see what happens. They play Georgetown next weekend. Moving on. The Hoyas played Syracuse on Saturday night. The Hoyas looked great. Syracuse struggled at times. Throughout the game, Syracuse decided not to slide, so Georgetown took advantage of that. They got to the net. They put up a lot of points. They looked good. All in all, in the fourth quarter and the second half, Syracuse was a little undisciplined. They committed a lot of penalties, and then who knows what will happen. Syracuse finished the season 7-5. We'll see what happens with that program going forward. All right, the Notre Dame Drexel game. That was a great game. It actually ended up being tied late in the fourth quarter. Notre Dame pulled it out, but Drexel put up a good fight. Notre Dame moves on to the quarterfinals where they play Maryland next week, which would be an awesome game. All right. Maryland played Vermont. It was close, 3-2 in the first quarter, but a bad turnover by Vermont led to momentum for Maryland. They banged out 3 goals, and it was 5-2 like that. After that, it was too much for Vermont to come back. Maryland held on. Jared Bernard had 6 goals. He was all over the place, playing very well. Duke played High Point. Quentin was talking about how he doesn't love how Duke's clearing the ball right now. We'll see if they make some adjustments over practice throughout the week. But they ended up winning by 6-7, something like that. They took care of business against High Point. Rutgers-Lehigh. Rutgers won 12-5. They pretty much dominated the entire game. Quentin was talking about how he loves their goalie on today's podcast. Rutgers moves on. It's good to see, 2 Big Ten teams move on to the quarterfinals, Rutgers and Maryland. And lastly, the first game of the weekend was at 12 o'clock on Saturday. UNC played Monmouth. UNC looked real solid. They pretty much dominated the entire game. Chris Gray had a huge game with a bunch of points. All right, lastly, I just want to touch on Tufts. I was able to catch the first half yesterday before I had to go somewhere. It was a solid game. They had their hands full, but they advanced. They won games on Saturday and Sunday, so they move on. They play York next weekend, and then if they win that game, assuming RTI, which is the #1 overall seed, they would match up with them, and that would be the dictator who goes to the national championship. All right, so there we go. Week of May 17th, a little recap for lax news from the NCAA tournament. I'll be back in touch this week. Keep in mind, if you're looking to play college lacrosse yourself, I got some awesome resources for you. Just hit the link right below this video. It will take you and get started right away. Talk soon, Coach Miller.